Welcome back to a new episode here in Sualvi. Finally I'm out of bed. I'm able to get out of bed. I've been in bed sick for the past 5 days or so and it was awful. But anyways, so we're gonna get to do our title that I made in the previous video, the teaser video, I guess you could say. I made this cool one too, but I only recorded the making of this one. I didn't actually record my voice when I was making this one, just because, you know. But anyways, so let's just go ahead and start a new Fusion composition so I can show you how to make this one real quick, so that you can then create your own ones and have a super cool title or text or motion graph on your video. Alright, so anyways, let's get right away. So first of all, we need to create our banner, and for that we're gonna use another background node and we're gonna create a mask. What color? Let's do a sort of like pinkish purple one in this one, and we're gonna add a mask so that we can reshape it like that. I think that's good. And then we're gonna create a new merge node to which we're gonna add the text nodes. We're gonna add 2 of them, and we're gonna copy this rectangle as a mask on this merge node again, and you will know why that is in a little bit. Alright, so first of all, we're gonna put our text on and we're gonna write Sualvi, and we're gonna increase the size, make it taller. I like it better when it reaches the edges, and that's because if you leave too much space in between, the one in the background is not really gonna show much of your text, since you leave space behind, and the idea to sell the effect is that you're able to see a little portion of the title behind, right? Yeah, let me change that background. I want it to be a little bit more bright there. Alright, so when we have that, we have to add the second one, and it's gonna be like comment and subscribe or whatever, and we're gonna increase the line spacing, decrease it again, and yeah, that seems to be about right. And then we can decide to either make it adjust to the right or left. It's all up to you. Once you have that, the next step is we can already start and animate this. So we're gonna go to frame 5, create a keyframe. I'm gonna go to frame, let's say 20, and we're gonna write 1.5 here. And we're not seeing anything here. And the reason is that first we need to change the edge mode into wrap. So now sort of gonna do that, and that's basically what's gonna be able to sell the effect of it being rotating. So the next step is to add the curves to our shape. So we're gonna go and add a grid warp effect, and you can decrease the number of lines that you have to make it easier to work with. The more lines, the more little things you're gonna have to adjust. So I like to decrease the number of lines, and the reason is that we're not able to select these 2 separate ones right now because we need to change the magnet type. We're gonna change from region to selected, and then we're able to select both of those, because then we're able to more accurately move them together and adjust the size of them. If you hold shift and click, it's gonna select everything, but we don't want that. That always happens to me. So we're gonna hold Control, select both of them. We're gonna click first, and then we're gonna click shift. So then we can move it up and that's gonna move all of them together at the same time. And then we can adjust these curves so that it looks a little bit more circular. We can press Ctrl when adjusting these, so it only adjusts one of the curves and not both sides. Alright, so once we have that done, we can actually make the text a little bit smaller, maybe. And this one also, just so that we have a little bit more space in between. Alright, so now if you look at it, you see it sort of looks like it's already translating towards the back. I guess that's a word. We forgot to continue animating these. We're gonna make it go twice at least. And then here in 40, we're gonna go 2.5. Just gonna add the other time. Alright, we're gonna press Ctrl that, so then when we animate, it doesn't have to load the whole timeline here. Alright, so then that's basically it for the base. And then what we need to do is we need to copy these and do the background for this. And then we just basically copy them and paste them as many times as we want to make copies of them. But then at the real important place, or the important point that we need to take into account, is that we need to pay attention to the order when we organize it to look 3D. Later on, I'm going to show you why that is. So right now we're not seeing the one in the background. So we want this one to be the one in the foreground. So we're going to press Ctrl T. And then we're going to add a transform node to these. And also a transform node to this one. Because later on we're going to want to move these. But then if we move this one that's on the background, it's not really showing the way that we need it to show. So we're gonna flip it, and then the next thing we need to adjust is the grid. So we're gonna select the grid again and do the same thing and move it downwards, and then we have to adjust all the curves again. Okay, so now we have both there like that, and then we can make sure that they are connected there in the right spot. And that's pretty much the base. Then the rest of it is basically just copying and pasting and reorganizing things. Another thing that we can do is we can add a shadow to this one. Shadow, and it could be a drop shadow or it could be a normal shadow, so it doesn't really matter. There a little bit and make it soft like that, so we can play around with that. And if we want different colors, we can just add more different color in it, and then you can make it even more transparent. Gonna leave it as a white shadow, I think. Like that, so it's sort of like a light. Alright, so once we have that, we want to go ahead and we're gonna do 2 copies. So we're gonna copy this one, is the one in the background. And then this one is the foreground. Whoops, that's not the right place to paste it because it gets messy. We want to stay a little bit organized. All right, so then we can connect these two. And we can see that on this screen, but we want this one to be rotating, right? So we're gonna rotate both of these. Like that. Let's just put 90 degrees. And then we're gonna adjust the position of this one to be a little bit like that. And then we can adjust the shadow also to be a little bit towards that side. There. And right now we're not seeing it because we need to adjust the size of this. So right now they're not really in the right place with each other, so we're gonna fix that. So now the positions of these two are fixed. And this transform node, we're not really gonna use it yet because we're gonna have to adjust these transform nodes for the size. But first, let's organize these. So let's forget about these for a second. And let's connect these two merge nodes so we can see these on the screen. And we want our one that's horizontal to be in the front of everything, so that's this one. And then behind this one, we want the one that's vertical, which is this one. So we're gonna unplug it from here. We're gonna bring it here. I'm gonna take this one out of here, bring it here. All right, so when we plug this to that one, we're gonna have that. Then we're gonna go and plug these here, and we're gonna have that. And we have to make sure this merge is also the opposite of this. We want this part to be the foreground. There. So now we sort of have that, right? But we need to adjust our transform nodes on each of these so we have a good size. And the reason why we're not using this one here is because you see these two are parts of the different ones, right? One of them is the horizontal one and one of them is the vertical one. So we're gonna go to the transform node here and we're gonna size it to 0.8 and do the same on this one. And then we're gonna go here and do the same here and on this one and do the same again. And it still looks a little bit weird because because of their positioning, the way that they're positioned, right? So we can adjust that, but first we're gonna go and add this transform here. So now we can see it smaller and we can work better with the adjustment of the position of our banners. And then we're gonna bring this one a little bit lower. We're gonna make sure it's aligned. There. And we can make this one go a little bit higher, maybe, and a little bit towards that side, and adjust this other one accordingly. here on the same line there, and then we're gonna make it a little bit thinner there. So that's basically our banner right there. And if we press space, it's gonna animate it. And then after you have that, you can edit the splines of everything to make them smooth. And also you can go here to the transform and add a rotation to it. So let's say we just wanted to move a little bit. So we're gonna go from 0. It's gonna start at 13. It's gonna go all the way up there maybe, and it's gonna end back in 13. So we can do a sort of like a loop, and we can make a little bit a bounce. We can add a little bit of a bounce to it. So we're gonna try to get rid of all these ones from here. Gonna go to this transform and press F, and we're gonna do these and these. So now it's gonna have a sort of like a little bit of a bounce at the end and at the beginning before it's rotating. So let's let that render and then see how that looks. There we go. I like this one. I like the color, the pink one, and we can add a shadow to these, but we can add it onto this merge node, I think. Let's see if we add it to this merge node, how it will look. And then we can move it up. Yeah, it's not we can't really see it there. Maybe it was the drop shadow one that worked better at the end when adding it to everything. Let's see. Yeah, this one looks a little bit cooler. I like it better. All right, and then we can add the distance and more blurry, and the color. The only thing with these is that you cannot really add much color to it, because if you want your shadow to have a color, like it seems that it changes the whole thing, right? Because it adds sort of like a light, a light that is the opposite color, I guess. So for darker colors, it might not affect it as much. And for black, it doesn't do much. Like it just does it like a normal shadow. But since we have white ones here, now the question is, what is this shadow right here? Well, we need to go here and check our vertical shadow and adjust that. There it goes. So basically, after you do all the banners and you put them in the right position, you can add shadows and all that, and try to see if you can play around with the color of things. And that's basically how you would make that sort of like a moving banner, cool title, motion graphics, or typography effect in Davinci Resolve 16. So I'm getting a fever again, I think, so I better stop this recording because it's been going for like 30 minutes and I need to cut down these and edit it. Alright, so let me put full screen on these so we can see it. We can see that. And you can add more things onto your banners, like on the example, on the inspirational one, the actual background and the text, they had, I think they had like a, let's see, I think they had like a paint node on top of them, or they had a sort of like a background. Yeah, they had like a paint node with like a sort of like a root, like a grid style on top of it. If we do it with a paint one, it's actually gonna take a long time to render, but let's just do it for the sake of it. Let's try to see what it looks like. And we're gonna use a polyline stroke, and we're gonna go here to the merge, and so we are able to do a straight line. And we're gonna put it on top of everything. So now if we go back to our banner, we also have to make sure that we copy these rectangle masks on top of these paint. So now those lines are only on our banner. And yeah, you can even animate these lines inside the banner and all that stuff. So you can be as creative as you want. There's the possibilities here in Davinci Resolve Fusion expand more and more every day. It's all about just testing and figuring things out with all the nodes. It's a little bit complicated at first, but then it sort of like becomes natural. It's the same as when you're learning with After Effects, with the layer based and all the different effects and stuff that you can add. It's the same thing, but this one sort of like individualizes it a little bit more, and it gives you that opportunity to specifically only change one aspect of things, I guess. But yeah, anyways, I'm rambling a lot again. Hopefully this video is found useful by you. Hopefully you enjoy it. Also, let me know down in the comments if I should put a download link for this project file. But I don't want you guys to just become a little bit lazy. I want you guys to try this out, and I want to see the result of it. So if you find the courage to make it and then upload it, tag me in the comments below, so then I can make a sort of like a video reacting or like checking you guys' version of this one. So anyways, I hope to see you guys in the next video here in Sualvi.